we'll kind of get everything started. I just want to welcome everyone today. Just a couple housekeeping rules, excuse me. If you do not have your first and last name, I will send you a PM, a private message to ask for that, just so we can get you off in attendance. There are no microphones, no cameras, just Janae will be talking today and sharing her screen. If you have questions or chat or anything, put them in the chat. If you can toggle on the closed captioning, so just do that at the bottom. And if you have any questions, let us know. We'll let Janae start. There you go, Janae.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Amanda. I'm going to share my slide. Let me just get that prepped for you guys. And what are you seeing on the screen?
Good.
Okay, we're seeing just the slide deck.
Slides, no notes. Yep, just slides. You're good.
Beautiful. I'm looking at two screens, so pardon me if I'm going to go like this. So I just wanted to make sure everyone's aware ahead of time. So, but good afternoon and welcome to Pop YS Live. Our topic today is Shake Up Your Story Times, providing fun and engaging activities that build school readiness skills. For those of you who are new to Pop YS, welcome. My name is Janae Jackson Doring. I'm the Youth Services Consultant with the State Library of Iowa, and we've got a whole fun deck full of lots of info. So let's get started. So our plan today, this is our plan. We're going to talk about why shake up your story times. We're going to talk about school readiness and academic success and what that looks like. We're going to talk about best practices for storytime engagement. We'll also share some program and/or activity ideas for baby, toddler, and preschool story times. And I'll share some parting reminders and resources. So here we go. So basically, the question I like to start out with, why shake up your story times? Why do you think we should shake them up? If you guys can answer in the chat, and it could be a couple people that answer in the chat. Why do you think we should shake them up? Don't be shy. Get out of my rut. Yes. Keep them fresh, keep them engaging, keep from burnout. Yes. To have new experiences. Megan says for our own sanity. Yes. Because you're bored. Yes. And change is good. Absolutely. Keeps the kids guessing so they remain engaged, trying new ideas and new things. And someone said parents get bored too. Yes. Those are all wonderful responses. And it's exactly why we should shake up our story times. We want to keep our story times fresh. We want to keep them exciting and new and offer something different for each of our youngsters that come to our story times and their caregivers. We want to engage our kids and families to provide them with wonderful new experiences and just have them all participate where they all feel included and all feel welcome. And definitely you want to avoid the story time ruts. I don't know about you, but singing the same songs, same routines, it gets to be repetitive, and you want to offer something fresh and new so that way you don't feel in a rut, and that way your caregivers and your kids don't feel like they're in that same rut as well. And families and kids, when they see you putting together these wonderful story times, programs, and activities, families and kids will return for more. They will know from you, from all of your planning and all of your wonderful programs, that, wow, Kirkendall Public Library has something awesome. They've got something really new. I want to go to the library today. Or I want to go to Central Library because they've got this new story time. So your families and kids are craving those new programs, those new activities. And when they see all of these awesome activities that you're providing, they're going to come back. They're going to return for more. And finally, you want to shake up your story times because you want to provide high quality positive early learning experiences for kids and families. Some of the kids may not be able to afford, their parents may not be able to afford daycare, or maybe this is their only way of getting some type of positive early learning enrichment. And the cool thing about story times is that it's so memorable. It provides a memorable experience. And I love when families tell other families, hey, you should go to the library. They have an awesome story time. They have an awesome storyteller. They've got awesome activities. So that word of mouth spreads. Uh, so that those reasons there are why you should shake up your story times. So now we're going to talk about school readiness and academic skills. Now, those of you who are new to the library profession, you're probably thinking, what's school readiness? I have no idea what that means. Simply put, this is a definition from Head Start from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. School readiness is children possessing the skills, knowledge, and attitudes necessary for success in school and for later learning in life. We want kids to be successful, and all of the activities that you provide in story times, you are building school readiness skills so that child is able to set themselves up for success. These two items on the screen here are research. The first item to your left is called Reimagining School Readiness. It's a position paper that talks about why school readiness is important, and it has key findings. I have included that paper with the resources, so that way you can download the PDF and read the paper for yourself. To your right is a wonderful guide. This is called Promising Practices, a guide for library staff. And it's a toolkit, and it's created by the Bay Area Discovery Museum and the California State Library. But it gives step-by-step tools to incorporate new activities, resources, just to keep your story times engaging, not only story times, but even your literacy stations. If you have literacy stations in your library, like for dramatic play, if you're offering STEM activities, it offers a good template of things you can do to keep that school readiness engagement going. Again, both of these items are in the resources portion of my presentation, so you're able to download and read them. With the paper, they talked about 6 skills that are needed for school readiness. These are very critical. The first one is exposure to science learning. So basically providing children with items, activities that develop high order thinking. You also want to offer math skills. So for example, when you sing 5 little monkeys swinging in the tree, teasing Mr. Alligator can't catch me. Along comes Mr. Alligator, quiet as can be, and he snatched that monkey right out of the tree. How many fingers do I have left? 1, 2, 3, 4. So even just singing a finger play and counting down from 5 to 1, you're teaching math skills, you're teaching subtraction. So we want to offer math skills in our story times because it helps develop conceptual thinking and it aids in reading proficiency. The third item that we need is self-awareness, self-control skills. And this is a social emotional component as well. Kids learn self-awareness, self-control through experiences, whether it's playing or working on a task or listening to a story or listening to a stop and go song or a dance song. You want to be able to offer some self-awareness, self-control activities because it's teaching self-regulation. Then you have critical thinking. Critical thinking, that deals with you asking the children questions. So during your story times, you're asking, oh, what do you think is happening in this picture? What do you think will happen next? Asking those questions boosts their cognitive and language skills. We want them to answer your questions. We want them to ask questions. And providing those times during story time offers kids to build on those critical thinking skills. We also want to offer child-directed play. And child-directed play, this is an important skill because it builds stronger social skills needed for school and life. So just putting blocks down on the floor after story time and having the kids take turns building something, cooperative play, or having them having them pick an area, like let's say they're going to, let's see, like picking clothes and trying them on, like dress up clothes, and they're choosing to play at that area, or they're choosing to build with the magnetiles and lead them and other kids in play. Those are examples of child-directed play, where they're able to choose what they want to play, engage in that play, and build social skills. And they'll need that for school and for later on in life. The sixth and final skill for school readiness is developing caring relationships with adults. We do this every day. You know your families when they come in, you greet them, you say hello, you get to know the kids, you know the kids by names, you know the caregivers by names. Building those relationships with kids, asking them questions, just being a part of their lives and building that rapport with families and with kids. You are helping kids cope, and you're helping them cope with stress and emotions and teaching them how to process those emotions just by having a positive, caring rapport with them. Also, if you are new to the Storytime world or new to youth services, this is the bread and butter. This is the reason also why we offer story times. Every Child Ready to Read is through the American Library Association, and they created the 5 early literacy skills. These are crucial. These are the skills that kids need when they enter kindergarten. So everything we do, from the story times to the craft to the playtime to the enrichment activities, everything focuses around these skills. So we have read, write, sing, play, and talk, excuse me. We know that read creates a love of learning. When kids write, they're strengthening their finger muscles. Singing helps children hear the sounds of words and builds their vocabulary. Playing, when kids play, they're developing their creativity, their imagination, their vocabulary, and they're building social skills. And talk, when we talk with children, we ask them questions. They're asking questions, and we're helping them learn new words. If you are new to youth services, I highly recommend that you go to everychildreadytoread.org to learn more about the 5 early literacy skills. Now we're going to talk about best practices for story time engagement. So these are just a couple ways to incorporate story time engagement. These tips have helped me when I was working as a youth librarian, and they still help me to this day. I'm a big believer in incorporating a game or some type of fun activity in between story times. And I'm going to move my toggle real quick so I can see. So incorporate games into your library, because children, we all know that kids learn best when they play. So you can have games in between stories during your story time, or offer opportunities to play games after story time. But it's important to incorporate games because it teaches children social interaction. It also teaches kids to take turns, because in kindergarten, that's what they're going to do. They're going to take turns. A couple games I like to play with the kids are, to your left is the Fishing for Letters ABC game. What I did, I took fish template, and I just used different color cardstock, and I put a large alphabet letter on the front of the fish, and I printed them out, cut them out, and then I stuck a magnet, or excuse me, I stuck a paper clip on the back of the fish, and then I grabbed some dowels, some long dowels with some string at the end, and I tied a magnet, and I put the fish down on the carpet with the letter side facing down, and the kids took turns fishing for letters, and they had to tell me, okay, what fish did you pull up? What letter did you pull up? And they loved it. They had a wonderful time, and it was a great way to learn letters. I had extra dowels just in case, because that way they could take turns and pass the dowels. But it was a great way for kids to learn their letters, and it was just fun. It was kind of a nice break in between story times. Or if I wanted to, I would have the game after story times to continue that enrichment. The other game I love to play, I learned from Head Start, is called the Wiggle Worm ABC game. That's to the right of your screen. But basically, there's a template on Canva. I printed out all 26 letters. So A for apple, B for ball. And I could put that template in my slides too. And what I did was I had a group of kids, and I would mix up the cards, and I had wiggle worms. And so I would hold up letters, and I would say, okay, what letter is this? And they would say X, and I'd shake them up. Okay, what letter is this? Y. Well, what's this letter? Z, and then A. But if they saw a worm, they had to wiggle. So they had to wiggle, 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 wiggle. And I shuffled the worm cards inside with the alphabet cards. So you never know if you were going to get a letter or a wiggle worm. This is a great game for letter recognition and print awareness for children, especially if you have a large group of 40 preschoolers, 40 or 50, or how many preschoolers that you have. This is a great game to play before you go into your next story. It just gets those wiggles out right before your story time, or before going into the next book, excuse me. And if you have questions, please let me know. Another thing I like to do is incorporate music and dance. For all of us that have done story times, we all know music and dance are important. But for those who are new to story time, you're like, why do I need to dance? Why do I need to get up and sing? Oh my goodness. Simply put, you incorporate music and dance because it gets those wiggles out. And on top of that, it also helps develop coordination and balance for children. Some of the things I'd like to do, the 30-second dance party button. A lot of you guys know that from Pop YS Con in 2022. This button you can get on Amazon.com, but it's a 30-second dance party button. You just push it, and it plays a 30-second dance track. It offers 5 different instrumental tracks for kids to dance to. Super fun, engaging, and I think it only takes like 4 AA batteries. And you can grab scarves and egg shakers and have the kids dance to the instrumental music for 30 seconds. And then everyone has those wiggles out, and they can go to the next activity. The other thing I like to do is I like to incorporate musical games that teach self-regulation. Greg and Steve, they are preschool favorites. I love Greg and Steve. If you can get a Greg and Steve CD, good, kudos to you, and I'll show you what those look like in a minute. But Greg and Steve have an awesome song called The Freeze, and I love it. It's a great tune. It's great to teach self-regulation, to teach kids to freeze and stop. Even playing Simon Says. Simon Says teaches active listening, so you can play Simon Says with the kids. Singing Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes. That's a great song to sing to get that to teach self-regulation. Red light, green light. How many of you guys played red light, green light? I did. I remember the teacher would hold up the red construction paper for a red light, and then she'd turn and have her green paper for a green light. Those are wonderful games, especially red light, green light, because it teaches stop and go. And I'm looking at the chat here. Oh my goodness, Missy said, yes, Missy's got the 30-second dance button a year ago, and the kids love it. I love it. Wonderful. Thank you. And Janine says, clap and stop is my new favorite. It works for an attention getter too. Oh, very cool. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. So it wouldn't be a Shake Up Your Story Times session to me without knowing some artists and songs to look for and play. And yes, Annie, I agree. Could you please share clap and stop? Is that on YouTube? If you have a YouTube link, please share it in this, share it in the chat so we can all take a peek at it. But I wanted to make sure you guys are set up for success. So if you're new to Storytime, or you're like, hey, I've been doing Storytime for years, I didn't know about this song, I wanted to set you guys up with some artists that I love when I play have Storytime. Raffi's Shake My Sillies Out. That's a great song. It's great to use with the egg shakers. It's great for a welcoming song, or just to get those wiggles out before your next story. Go Fish. Go Fish, they have a version of If You're Happy and You Know It. It is a very high energy If You're Happy and You Know It. Lori Berkner, yes. Janine says Lori Berkner, yes. Carol Peterson is my favorite, or her name is Miss Carol. She's also has Macaroni Soup. I put her CD Dancing Feet on here, and her other CD Sticky Bubble Gum, because I love Sticky Bubble Gum. That's my favorite song. She also has a song called Dancing Scarf Blues. It's a bluesy kind of jazzy song that you can just get the scarves out, but she'll tell you to put your scarves in and out and shake them all about. Real nice, fun song. Oh my goodness, Sophie says in the chat, my library kiddos love Pink Pony Club by Chappelle Roan. Awesome. Who would have thought that song would be totally PG and great for my pony lovers? I'm gonna have to listen to that because I've listened to her other music. Emery says there's a song on Spotify called Stand Up, Sit Down by Tumble Tots. Ooh, Tumble Tots. I'm gonna have to look that up. Thank you guys. Lori Berkner. I have 2 Lori Berkner songs that I love to sing. Bumblebee Buzz Buzz. You can use that with egg shakers. Lori Berkner's I'm Gonna Catch You. That's a really good one. The Kaboomers Party Freeze Dance Song. There's a couple versions of the Kaboomers Party Freeze Dance Song. I think there's like volume 1 and volume 2. Jim Gill's The Silly Dance Contest is excellent, especially for preschoolers, because they can dance any way they want to. They can dance as fast as they want to, as slow as they want to. Casper Baby Pants, All the Fish. I love that song. Great one for toddlers. You can move to egg shakers or scarves with that one. And then at the very bottom of your screen, a little bit to your left, there's a CD that I adore. It's called Wiggle Worms Love You by the Old Town School of Folk Music. I used their song Clap Your Hands. It is great because it gives such great directions. I used it as my opening song. It's a great opening song. And then the closing song that I would do at the end of story time was Skinnamarink. And it was just so fun. I would just see parents and grandparents smile because they knew the words to Skinnamarink. So get to know these artists. And if you need help finding some music, please let me know and reach out. I'd be more than happy to help you with that as well. Another item for storytime engagement, parachutes. Parachutes. I loved getting the parachutes out for story time. These 2 pictures are from my time at the Southside Library. To your left, that was my kiddos for family story time. Southside Library really caters to working class families, and we could only do, like, they could only come to sometimes family story times at night. So I would get out the parachute, and they just had a blast. But parachute play is important because it teaches cooperative play, it teaches teamwork, you're building language skills because you're having them shoot the shake or shake the parachute up, shake it down, shake it slow, shake it fast. It's teaching them rhythm and social interaction. You're encouraging caregiver participation. Sometimes when I got the parachute out, sometimes I would hear parents like, oh, and I'm like, you know what? Come on up. I need you. I need you to help me out for our young friends. And when those parents started shaking the parachute with their kids, I kid you not, all around the room, I saw smiles. I saw smiles. I saw engagement. I saw that joy. And I think everyone has a positive experience with a parachute, whether you're a grandparent or a parent. There's something about parachute that just brings joy. Um, the picture to your right, I love this picture because one of my dads would bring his two daughters to story time, and he's all tatted up, and he helped shake the parachute. Um, but it was just so much fun. Uh, and you can do it in between stories for your story times as well. But it's creating that positive experience, and that's what we want. And Emily brought up a good point. She says, if you can't afford to buy a parachute, use a sheet. Absolutely. I would tell that to parents too, as a literacy tip. If you want to play parachutes at home, use a sheet. And we also have parachutes at the state library. We have a parachute story time kit that you can check out and borrow from us for 5 weeks. So, and Jeremy says they might be giants has a fantastic kid song, Clap Your Hands as well. Oh, cool. Well, thank you. And another thing I'd like to do is implement activities that promote active engagement. And I just love when everyone is involved and everyone is engaged. So if your story time, for example, if your theme is ABCs, maybe have an ABC letter hunt inside the library. If you're reading a story about fall leaves, instead of being inside, cooped up inside the library, take the kids outside and go on a leaf hunt. See if they can find different leaves and have them bring them to you. If your story time theme is pumpkins, carve a pumpkin in front of the kids. Show the kids the seeds, the pulp. Let them feel it. Feel the texture of it. Is it slimy, squishy, bumpy, lumpy? When you do these types of activities, you're helping kids engage in your story times, in your programs, especially with the pumpkin activity and feeling the pulp and the seeds. You're building their vocabulary when you ask them to describe what they feel. So be really creative about how you engage your kids during your story times. Susan says, I had a local greenhouse donate a bunch of the small gourds and pumpkins that we painted and decorated. Yes, absolutely. That's a great idea. I had Hy-Vee years ago. They donated pumpkins to me, and we had that as an activity where we painted pumpkins. So that's wonderful. So now I'm going to share some program or activity ideas for babies, toddlers, and preschool and family. Excuse me. So for babies and toddlers, I've been seeing a lot lately, both in the metro locally here in Metro Des Moines and in out of state. A lot of libraries are doing a baby or a toddler prom. I thought this was a cute idea. It's adorable, but it's super fun. But basically, it's a story time, and you can follow it with an after prom. And you would have your traditional story time, and then your after prom activities could be where parents read to babies in another part of the library. You could have a backdrop for photos, sensory stations. There's pictures. This picture here from bookcartqueens.com is an example of their baby prom. They took these perforated pieces, foam pieces, and they made sensory bags. They're Ziploc baggies that have water, cornstarch, uh, different colors of food coloring, and they sealed the bags normally like a Ziploc bag, but then they duct taped it so that way it won't explode. And they duct taped it to these foam pieces so that way kids could feel and touch. I really liked that idea. I thought that was super fun, super engaging. The picture to your right shows kids playing in different parts for the party. There's scarves, there's different stations. This is just a fun idea. Some parents I saw got dressed up, so they dressed up their kids in cute little dresses. They had their pictures taken. Super fun, super engaging. West Des Moines, this is their version of their toddler prom. This one was for ages 2 to 5, and looks like they held this last July, and they had registration required. But they had it as a summer toddler costume dance party. And they had a grand march. So they marched around the first floor of the library, and they had dance moves with some dancing in the community room. Super fun, super engaging. And Emily's right. Yes, you could have a bubble machine for this event. If you do have a bubble machine, make sure you put it up high, and just be careful because sometimes carpet, especially with the soap of the bubbles, it kind of gets the carpet all icky. So just be aware of that. And it looks like the slides will be uploaded in Iowa Learns after this presentation. Thank you, Alex. So for preschool story time, there's been a plethora of really good special guests. I've just been impressed with all these types of special guests I'm seeing at different libraries. And I'm like, man, why didn't I think of that when I was a youth librarian? I had special guests, but all these special guests I'm seeing, they take the cake. Des Moines Public Library to your left, this week and last week, they had a school bus story time, and they partnered with the Des Moines Public Schools. So they had a school bus driver come and bring a school bus to each library, and they had a school bus story time. And the kids could get on the bus and look inside the bus. I thought this was a great idea, especially for those who are going to kindergarten for the first time, especially to get those anxious jitters about the first day and riding on a school bus. I thought this is a great idea. If you choose to do this idea, make sure you partner with your school district, ask about the bus drivers and their schedules, because some of them might be on a contract with their union or whatnot. There might be a charge. I don't know. The first year Des Moines did this, there wasn't a charge. And then this year, I think it was like $65. So just be aware of that. Ask to see if there is a charge, because the school bus drivers, they might be on a contract with the union and their schedules are different. Caitlin says, we had a fabulous time with Cubby from Iowa Cubs. He was great with kids of all ages and comfortable with costume characters. That's great. Cubby's great, super sweet. To your right of the screen, consider having a fire safety story time. Fire Prevention Week this year, the dates are October 6th through 12th. Oskaloosa this summer, they had a fire safety story time with their local fire department, and the fire department talked about some fire safety, smoke detectors, keeping families safe. They read a story, and then they brought their mascot, Sparky, and kids got their picture taken with Sparky. Super fun, super engaging. So maybe for Fire Prevention Week, you could ask your local fire department to bring their fire truck, and they could come and do a story time at your library. Maybe you can do a touch a truck with them. The kids can see the fire truck. It's a fun activity, and it's a great way to promote fire safety. It's a win-win, great partnership. The other thing I'd recommend also, not only the fire department they can do a story time for you, but ask them for an adult program. You could ask them to teach about fire extinguishers and how to use a fire extinguisher. The library that I previously worked at, that's what we did. We had the fire department come, do the story time, bring the fire truck. Kids got to get pictures with the fire truck and the firefighters. But then the firefighters came back that evening or a couple days later and did an adult program on fire safety with a fire extinguisher and teaching how to use a fire extinguisher. And Emery says, I've taken story time to the fire station. Yes. And the firefighters were able to show the kids things that they can't usually transport. Yes. And the firefighters are really good about bringing their equipment. The kids got to try on the coats and the hats and feel how heavy the hose is. It was great. And Phyllis says, we had story time at the new Playscape Trail outside of town this summer. Over 200 people attended. That is amazing. And yes, costume specialists, Ash is saying costume specialists have lots of costumes for rental. It's funny you mentioned that, Ash. I'm going to get to that too. Another thing to consider is having community helpers. Have community helpers come out and do a story time. And now I know, for, like I said, a lot of you who are attending this may have done this so many times, because I want to make sure that all the new people who are new to youth services, I want to make sure that they know also that, yes, you can invite community helpers as well. So think about in your community, who do you know that could come out and read a story and talk about their job with kiddos? I remember when I had story times, I had in June, I think it was all 4 weeks in June, a community helper every Thursday for story time. I had a dentist, my dentist, personal dentist. I asked him, he came in and he was great. He brought a lab coat, he brought his scope, he brought gloves, and he brought a mini coat for the children to try on, and the children put on gloves. He also brought a jaw, like an actual jaw so they could see the teeth. And he was great. And the kids found him so engaging. It was just a great partnership. And he brought 50 toothpaste and toothbrushes for each child to take home. I thought it was amazing. He did a fantastic job. So consider asking your dentist. I had a police officer come and talk about her job, and she showed her tool belt. She was just amazing. We've had a canine unit come and show the kids what a canine officer dog does. I've had Animal Rescue League, the ARL, their educator. Her name was Rose Hebron at that time. I remember inviting Rose to my previous library, and she brought her pet bunny. And the kids got to take turns petting the bunny and learning about different animals and how to touch the animals and asking, may I pet your dog? It was fun and it was engaging. And a pet bunny, you can't go wrong with a pet bunny. I also had paramedics come out, an EMT. They brought their vehicle to show the kids what an ambulance looks like. They got to go inside the ambulance after story time. It was a great, great program. I even asked my nurse practitioner, I said, hey, would you be interested in coming to do story time? And she said, yes. My nurse practitioner at Unity Point was great. I read a story about nurses, and she came in and talked about her job and what she does. And she brought a little first aid bear kit. So each child got a little bear from Unity Point with a little Band-Aid and a little kit to take home and keep. So think about who you know. Who do you know? Who do you have a good relationship with that you think they could come in and be a community helper for your community helper story time? Just recently, I've seen a couple libraries have had a speech pathologist come in to talk about speech pathology services as part of story time. A florist, I've seen a florist come in to do story time. And Rachel from Iowa Falls, from their library there, she conducted a swim story time, But not only that, she had the lifeguard come and talk about his job. They read a story about water safety, and the lifeguard talked about how to stay safe in the water. How cool is that? So think about who you know. I love alphabet letter hunts. For preschool age, I did this a lot for story times. So with your alphabet letter hunts, they're great for letter recognition. They're great to teach print awareness. They can be done in between your stories as a group. So you're searching for letters in the library as a group, or you can offer it after story time in lieu of a craft. My parents found it fun because it was a great way to see the library, learn what's all in the library. And for preschoolers, it was a fun way for them to learn their letters. I made this template on Canva because they had all the different images and letters. And then I just printed out each letter, had library aides hang them all over the library, and then printed the actual sheet. And then once they were done finding the letters, they could come into the either the circulation desk or the reference desk and get a prize. And I'm just looking at the comments. Emily's like, oh, she's invited a farmer and they bring small animals. Yes. Let's see, Denise has the naturalist come, and Missy says she has an SRO now, and she asked him to come read one of the come to read to one of the preschoolers that she reads to every month. That's awesome. Ash says, we've invited a couple of community helpers for story times. Sometimes it's hard to find books relating to their career. I've let them know that they can read some of their favorite instead, but did I have any advice on this? You could use some of the nonfiction books that are geared towards preschool age. And instead of, like, if it's a heavily texted book, you could have the speakers just hold the book and say, wow, what is this person doing? Talk about the pictures in the book. Talk about what are they doing? What do you think is happening? That is exactly what I would do. Thank you for the question. And Janine says, do you know if there are shareable social media files about what kids learn at Storytime? Like why Storytime with talking points, letter recognition? That's great. Let me see what I can find and I'll see if I can share that. That's a really good question. I really like this idea. If you get a chance, please read this book. It's called Move, Play, Learn by Alyssa Jewell. She's a youth librarian, and it's interactive story times with music, movement, and more. This book has all different kinds of ways to have interactive story times using those components. One idea in the book was create a story time dance party, but it's not your typical dance party. The librarian has a template, and this template was in the book, and it can be adapted for a toddler, preschool, or a family story time. But the template is she would have a welcome song, a song with movement, so like Shake My Sillies Out, for an example. She would have her first interactive story. She'd have a finger play, a second interactive story. They would do the freeze dance, and then a closing song, which for her closing song was Shout. But I really liked that idea. It sounds very engaging. We have this book for checkout here at the State Library. So if you want, check out this book. It had great tips. And Sherry and everyone's asking, would I be able to share the alphabet letter hunt template? Yes, I will share the alphabet letter template. I'm gonna write that down. Thanks for the question. Another thing I love to do, take story time outside. If you are able to, take it outside. Host your story time on your library's yard, your local park, which I've seen in the comments, Phyllis had mentioned, your local park or your botanical garden. Clear Lake, they have a program where in August this summer, they have story times at their botanical garden. I went and it was wonderful, beautiful garden. So think about the different areas you could have story time. And of course, swim story time. Swim story time is my favorite. Partner with your Parks and Rec department, your pool staff to host a swim story time. Or if you have splash pads in your area, maybe you have a swim story time at a splash pad. So that way everybody, all your young kids can go and it's free. They don't have to worry about paying a cost. Um, Super fun, still super engaging. And have an outdoor scavenger hunt as part of your activities. This picture here, that was not a scavenger hunt. The kids that I had, they went on a leaf hunt. So they were searching for leaves. We had a big yard at Southside Library, and they were able to show me what kind of leaves they brought. Looks like Denise says during the summer, we had story time at the Alta pool. There you go. We had a story walk up at the park for people to read while playing at the park. Awesome. Emily says we host our entire summer library program at our local park. Yes. We've done this since the pandemic. It's been a huge hit. Yes. It allows more space than inside the library. And there's a playground and picnic shelter. Great ideas. This is awesome. Consider book character visits. These are pictures of the book characters that we invited in my previous job. There's a picture of me with Pete the cat. Pete the cat is so fun, and Clifford. The costumes for those two story times were from costumespecialist.com. Someone mentioned that in the chat. But if you have not used Costume Specialist, they do a great job. You just pick the dates and times, or the dates that you want the costume. The costume is sent, and everything is sent via FedEx or UPS, and it comes in like a gray box, and you use the costume for however long you need it. And then when it's time to send it back, you just put everything back in the box, and you tell UPS when to pick it up. They come, pick it up, and take it back. I've used them for Clifford, Pete the cat. Also, they have the pigeon costume too. They also have the Investigators. That's a children's graphic novel series. They have those costumes as well. They have Paddington. They have all different kinds. It can be a little pricey, just a heads up, but it is worth it for all that engagement that you get. And we would have kids line up after story time. We would have a line marked on the carpet, so that way they could stand and get their photo taken with that character. But just make sure if you do get a costume character, look at the measurements, so that way you know, hey, I need someone that's 5'8" to fit in this costume. So just be aware of that too. Oh, Heather had Froggy. Oh, Froggy. Kids were excited. That's wonderful. Sherry says, let's see, they did RAR, Read Around Rhinebeck. Yes. Storytimes went to a coffee shop, lumber yard, a park with a story walk, conservation area, and our local bank. Special readers from each area were the readers. That's wonderful. Denise says, we have a few costumes like Pete the Cat, Library Frog, and Snowman. Awesome. The other picture to the right is of Ariel. I had Ariel come to read with as part of a little mermaid story time that I had. So see if you can find someone to dress up as a character. I believe it's Storybook Adventures. They are based out of Ankeny, if memory serves me right. They've done all different kinds of princess costumes. But that's something to keep in consideration too. And Heather says, ask high school students. Yes. Ask high school students. They need those silver cord hours. Absolutely. If they can dress up as a character, that would be great. That's a great idea. Thank you. With preschoolers, I loved letter writing with them, but I loved letter writing with pudding. This is something I learned in Head Start that the lead teachers taught me how to do with the kids. This was a lot of fun. We grabbed styrofoam trays. If you're doing this in the library, grab styrofoam trays, clean styrofoam trays. You can ask the meat department for these. You can use the snack pack pudding cups, or you can make pudding ahead of time before story time. We use baby wipes and ABC cards. But basically, you put the pudding on the styrofoam tray. You can have the caregiver have different letter ABC cards, and they're just tracing the letters in pudding. So making the letter D, a big D and a little d, or an A, a big A and a little a. And just make sure you have the baby wipes, because some children do not, some children don't like their fingers dirty. The other thing I would also say, check for food allergies. If a child has food allergies, that is something to also be mindful of. But every time we did this for Head Start, I would have kids go just licking their fingers. It was just so much fun. Super duper fun. And also offer playtime after story time in lieu of a craft. I don't know about you, but prepping crafts, just prep. I mean, it is very time consuming. So offer toys and games that require working together, such as blocks, Kiva planks, Legos, train tracks, magnetiles. You're engaging in that cooperative play and they're building their language skills. Incorporate puppet play. Grab your puppets out. If they're sitting in a corner just getting dust, get those puppets out and let them build those language skills. Teach them how to properly use a puppet so they're not trying to attack everybody with a shark puppet. Make ABC letters with Play-Doh to build a child's muscles in their fingers. So that way they can strengthen those fingers to grip a pencil or grip a crayon. And this, you have my permission for this last point. There does not need to be a craft every week. I am going to say that with such love and joy to you. There does not need to be a craft every week. Switch it up. Don't be afraid to switch it up. Don't be afraid to try something new. Everything is trial and error into story time. And bring STEAM into it. You have wonderful opportunities to bring STEAM into your story times. The picture at the bottom is of snow. I went outside and I saw it was snowing. And instead of the craft that I had originally planned, I ran with a sensory bin outside, scooped up some clean snow, no yellow snow, mind you, brought it back in, grabbed some spray bottles, and I put food coloring and water in them, and I let the kids spray the snow with the bottle of food coloring and water. It was so much fun. And I had measuring cups so they could scoop and measure and pour. They really had a good time with it. And it was so fun that a parent said to me, "Janae, do you know what my child wanted to do when they got home? They wanted to just spray. They wanted to spray all the snow when they got home." The picture at the top is of a sensory bin that I had at South. It was two sides, but I had water beads. That was an under the sea theme for story time. So I had some undersea plastic animals in there, and I just let them have fun measuring and scooping. You can get good sensory bins, Donna. I got these Lakeshore Learning. They sell, I think they sell them in a pack or individually. I think it's a pack. But that's where I got my sensory bins. If you don't want to use the expensive Lakeshore sensory bins, get a big Rubbermaid tub, kind of about yay size, pretty about that big. And if you don't want to use water beads, shred some recycled paper. Shred paper in your shredder and put that in there, and then add some fun things in there. If you are very cautious about the water beads, use shredded paper. Emery says tapioca pearls. Oh, there you go. A good safe option instead of water beads. I like that. You can dye them with food coloring. Great tips. But these tips are low cost. They're effective. They provide easy activities or ideas for caregivers to duplicate at home. And the cool thing is that it connects them to your library. With that parent asking and telling me that that's all their child wanted to do was spray the snow at home, I was happy because they're making that connection that the library is a positive place where they can learn things to do at home that are free and cost effective. Some quick resources and parting reminders. State Library has a ton of story time books that you can check out for 4 weeks with your library card, and they're delivered to you via Iowa Shares, and you can just send them back. We are updating the collection. I've been ordering more story time and toddler and preschool play activity books because it is needed. So I'm working on that. But take a look at our catalog and check that out. You can also request our STEM or Storytime kits. You can check them out for 5 weeks, and they're delivered via Iowa Shares. You can have it sent to you. You get it for 5 weeks. When you're done, put it back in the bin, send it back to us. You can check them out with your library's card, not your personal card, but your public library's card. Those are all of the themes that we have here at the State Library. We have a two new kits coming soon. We have an indoor-outdoor play set, because I'm thinking about winter when the kids can't be outside, when you can't be outside with them. I'm gonna have an indoor-outdoor play set that'll be coming out in the next couple of months, and a harvest story time kit to talk about harvest, because someone had mentioned in the comments that they'd like to see a harvest story time. So I bought some toys with a silo, some horses, farm animals, a farm toy. It is cool. I'm so excited for that to come out. There are a ton of Storytime resources, storytimekatie.com, jbrary.com. A lot of you know this, but again, for those who are new to this profession, I want to make sure I set you up for success. Jbrary is fantastic for songs and finger plays. They have a YouTube channel. Take a peek at their songs. That way you feel comfortable singing it before you have to go to Storytime. Storytimesolidarity.com has diverse picture book suggestions. Preschool Express is amazing. They have excellent enrichment activities. The youthdesk.org, they have kid-approved book lists, program ideas, reference links. Loudestlibrarian.com is really cool. They have weekly storytime themes, songs, crafts, and programming ideas. The Association for Library Service to Children, I'm a member of ALSC. Their blog is fantastic because it covers storytime issues, program ideas, STEAM program ideas, ideas about early literacy stations. Take a peek at it. It's just worth your time. And Book Cart Queens, definitely look at that. That blog is by two to three youth librarians, and they have ideas for school-age programming and teen programming ideas as well as the story time components. There are a plethora of articles I put in here too that you can take a peek, especially 5 questions for better story time planning. Take a peek at those. I hope this will help you. And finally, just some parting reminders. Just remember that Storytime provides memorable experiences for kids and caregivers. Try to seek new ways to engage kids in those school readiness activities that can be duplicated at home. Plan intentionally. It's a trial and error process. Some things work, some things don't. That's just the ebb and flow of Storytime life. It's okay. I'm telling you to breathe and say it's okay. So plan intentionally and have fun. I love Storytime. I love it so much. Every time I get a chance to go out and do a Storytime, I try to rock it because it's my favorite thing to do. There's my contact info there. If you need anything, please reach out. Please reach out. I love coming out to see you. A lot of people know I bring goodie bags of books with me. So please reach out. Don't forget, September 11th is our next Pop YS Live. That is called Holidays at the Library from 1 to 2 p.m. That session will be recorded. So please register right now on Iowa Learns. We will transfer you to the Workday session. I want to make sure I say that to you. And also next Tuesday on the 27th is Check It Out from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. That session will also be recorded due to the integrating of the new Workday system. So I think I covered everything.
Lots of information, Janae. Lots of fun ideas, great things, lots of thank yous rolling in. Just
I hope
amazing.
I haven't overwhelmed anybody. Please, I hope I have not overwhelmed you. I just hope that I can be as helpful as I can. Um, yeah, just I love story time. So has this been recorded so I can share with other staff? No, it has not. That's a great question, Amy. That's a great question. Um, so thank you guys so much. Again, reach out. I love to chat with you. Yeah, just reach out.
All right, I think we're good. I didn't see anyone else that had the slides. You'll get the slides on in a couple days, I think, right? The like next couple days they'll have the
Yeah,
slides
well,
up. I will learn.
yeah,
Well,
because someone else uploads them. I just put them in a folder, and then I think Dory or
yeah,
someone uploads
not
everything.
me either. So I'm not sure. It just depends on someone else's workflow, unfortunately. So yeah, but yeah, I think that's good. So we're just gonna end it. Thanks again, guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Oh, everyone's saying thank you. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, there's lots of people that were like, "Oh, I'm gonna go make my wiggle worms. I'm gonna go do this, gonna do that." So yeah, it's
I
fun.
was surprised. I'm really, really surprised.
Yeah. I forgot when you said Lori Berkner, I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't heard that name forever. My kid Vera used to love Lori Berkner. Oh my gosh, we had like all the CDs. Forgot about her. She was so good.
Yep, yep. I just like Carol Peterson. She's tight. Sticky
I don't,
bubblegum. I mean, I could
I
memorize,
don't
I
know
have
that.
it memorized now, so I can sing it a cappella if I need to. There's been many a time that I needed to. I was like, okay,
Too.
we're doing sticky bubblegum. All right, everybody up. Sometimes you
Oh,
gotta do that.
yeah. Okay, I'm gonna end it and then I'll tell Linda about the attendance so she can get that checked off. Thanks
Okay.
again.